Hello, I'm Michael.
I'm Sally, and this is Wrestle MSX.
What a packed Raw it was, and we start with a great montage of the running feud between American Made and the Wyatt Six, before we have, as promised from last week, an 8-man tag between the two teams. American Made out first, followed by the Six. Uncle Howdy sits this one out, even though he comes down with the rest of the Motley Crew. So it's Gacy, Rowins, Loomis and Nikki Cross against the Creed brothers, Ivy Nile and of course Chad Gable. Cross puts a bin over Nile and smashes it with a kendo stick before drop kicking it, while Gable finds another kendo stick useful as he cracks Loomis and Gacy with it. This is soon stopped by Rowan, but not for long, as he ends up getting put through a table he'd just set up by the Creeds. American Made pile as much stuff as they can find onto Rowan. Chairs, broken tables and bins in the hopes of keeping him down before they head back into the ring to continue the punishment for Dexter Loomis. Loomis manages to escape the ring to set a table up on the outside, but while doing this, Gacy gets decimated in the ring by Brutus, Julius and Gable. A bin is then placed over his head while American Made take it in turns to hit it with a kendo stick. Rowan then decides to wake up. He smashes part of the barricade down around the ring announcer and uses it to down the American Made members before going for a pin on Brutus. The pin is broken by Gable. Loomis puts Brutus through the table he set up on the outside of the ring earlier as Gable angle slams Gacy from the top rope through another table which had been set up in the ring. Gable covers Gacy for the pin, who kicks out at 2, so puts him in the ankle lock instead. Gacy's saved though by Nikki Cross, who German suplexes Gable.
Nice.
Rowan then Iron Claw slams Gable onto the steel steps before throwing him into the ring. Upon doing so, Julius also gets in the ring, but so does Uncle Howdy, who proceeds to hit Sister Abigail on Julius as Dexter Loomis splashes Gable from the top rope. Loomis then covers Gable for the 3 with the Wyatt Six picking up the win. Manic, but enjoyable.
We get confirmation of our first match set for Bad Blood. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship.
Out next is Finn Balor. Balor accuses Damian Priest of screwing over Judgment Day by holding him back. He calls him out and tells him to stop hiding in the back. Priest promptly appears. He tells Balor he'll allow him to say what he's going to say and then drop him. Balor responds by saying Priest turned him into a sidekick and he ain't no sidekick before challenging Priest to a one-on-one at Bad Blood. Priest accepts but still wants to get his hands on Balor. As he's about to, the rest of Judgment Day make their way to the ring, taking out Priest. Ripley's music then plays and out she comes, using a crutch to get about. Daddy Dom goes to meet her halfway down the rampway though, as Morgan heads out from the back to attack her. Ripley's too quick though and catches her with a crutch before turning it on Dom. This lasts for mere seconds though, as Morgan takes out Ripley and throws her in the ring and then repeatedly hits her with the aforementioned crutch. Priest heroically crawls over Rhea, shielding her from the blows rained down on her by Morgan. Priest is then dragged off Ripley, held down by Carlito and JD, and then repeatedly hit by Dom with again the crutch. As Balor's about to coup de grace Priest, Jey Uso comes running out with a chair and JD scatter.
Backstage we hear from Braun Strowman. He says he might be wounded, but he's still dangerous. Braun Breaker then walks in. He says to Braun that he might be 7 foot tall and 900 pounds, but I'm a dog. I hope you win. I'll see you around.
WWE Women's Tag Team Championship action now, as Alba Fire and Isla Dawn try to recapture their tag belts from Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Fire started against Belair, but soon got the upper hand and tagged in Cargill. The champs then sent both members of the Unholy Union to the outside. Cargill then showed her strength, power slamming both of her opponents. She tags Belair back in, who overruns Fire and Dawn with a vertical suplex, a second rope crossbody on both of them, and a pin on Dawn, who kicks out on 2. Belair then gets Fire onto the top rope looking for a superplex, but the Unholy Union managed to turn things around with a double-teamed powerbomb, Dawn getting a 2 count. A double-team gory special facebuster seems to have won it for the Union, but Jade manages to save her partner by breaking the pin on 2. A super kick sends Belair back towards her corner, which allows her to tag in Cargill. Cargill enters the ring and clocks Fire with a big knee to the face. In comes Belair, and the pair then hit their DDT suplex combo, allowing Cargill to pin Fire to retain their tag team championships. Now I find this match quite sloppy. There was too much waiting around for someone to get into the right position. Moves weren't flowing. It was like there was a lack of communication. Whether these haven't always wrestled, it doesn't matter. It just didn't flow, and it was poor for me. But we all have our off days.
We then hear from Dragon Lee backstage with the LWO, who's ready to face Dominik Mysterio later, when the Judgment Day show up. Rey Mysterio tells Bálor to stop hiding behind his son and to face him later. Bálor accepts.
Next, a real treat as Bret the Hitman Hart joins Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore in the ring. Bret says that a Canadian champion will take on anybody and never duck a challenge. Gunther's music then plays, so it looks like Gunther Hitman at Bad Blood. Gunther tries to talk but gets roundly booed every time he does. When he does manage a few words, Gunther tells Bret that he was a childhood hero of his, but he was a close second to his favourite being Bill Goldberg. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, some of you may be, but Goldberg effectively ended, or began the end, of Bret's career when they had a match way back in 1999. So to say this is a bit of as Sheldon Cooper would put it, a zinger, is to say the least. The crowd boo, and as Gunther's about to continue, Sami Zayn's music hits. Zayn tells Gunther Bret's a hero to everyone in the arena, including himself, and then challenges Gunther to put his title on the line once again. And once again, Gunther declines him. As Gunther leaves the ring, Hitman calls him a gutless coward. The Austrian stops and removes his jacket. Zayn leaves the ring and the two square up with a brawl ensuing. The fight's broken up by referees, with Gunther then making his way to the back.
We go backstage to see Pete Dunne readying himself for the fatal four-way match later in the Intercontinental Championship No. 1 contenders match, when Braun Breaker pays him a visit. Dunne says he's going to smash Braun. Braun wishes him good luck. As Braun exits stage right, Sheamus hits Dunne with a knee to the face, taking his shillelagh in the process.
Up next, Dirty Dominik Mysterio against Dragon Lee. Naturally, neither man comes out alone, with Judgment Day and LWO both at ringside. Lee starts well until he gets caught with a drop kick to the face after jumping from the top rope. We come back from the break with Dom on top until Lee turns it around with a head scissor takedown, drop kick in the corner, and a one-arm sit-down powerbomb for a 2 count. Very impressive.
Nice.
As Lee goes for another cover, JD grabs Dom's leg and puts it on the rope, breaking the count. Rey Mysterio heads over to argue with JD. So you know what's going to happen next. Yep, it kicks off with the two factions going at it. Not sure who Liv's going to fight though, as Zelina Vega didn't come out with the LWO. After Wacky and Wild takes everyone out, the referee calls for officials from the back to break it up, but they all continue to fight as they make their way back up the rampway. Liv Morgan then takes out Lee, who's watching the action outside the ring. Lee falls onto the middle rope. Dom hits the 619, a frog splash, and then covers Lee for the 1-2-3.
Damage Control tell Cargill and Belair, who happen to be wandering around backstage, not to get used to having those tag titles.
Back at ringside, and we have Pure Fusion Collective against Lyra Valkyria, Zelina Vega, and a mystery opponent who I said last week would be Natalya. So let's see. After Fusion make their entrance, followed by Vega, Valkyria makes hers, but DeVille interrupts Lyra's entrance, telling backstage to cut the music. She asks Vega and Valkyria what's going to be different this week, because you try and then you fail. Whoever your partner is, come out and shoot your shot. Out comes Bret no, of course it's Natalya, and she's rodeo ready, sporting a cowboy hat. It doesn't start well as Fusion take Vega out and then pose on the apron, shooting their shot. As we come back from the break, we see Vega still in the ring and looking worse for wear, but after reversing a move on Baszler, makes her way over to the awaiting Natalya, who wastes no time in taking out Stark and then locks in the sharpshooter. As DeVille and Baszler slide into the ring to break it up, they get caught by Vega and Valkyria. Vega putting DeVille into a Boston Crab, and Valkyria putting Baszler into a half Boston Crab. Stark succumbs to the pain and taps out of the sharpshooter. Valkyria, Vega and Natalya picking up the win.
We then discover that Survivor Series War Games is set for November 30th, and then see Bret hugging Natalya after her victory moments ago.
Out next is Drew McIntyre, presumably to address the Punk situation. The crowd chanting for Punk, McIntyre encouraging them. Drew said that just because Punk touched 4 corners in a strap match, he thinks he's done with me and he's moving on. Well, I don't think so. Drew gloats that he's ended Punk's career and then wants to talk about the future. Him, Drew McIntyre. Now, I love this incarnation of Drew. He plays it well. He's just so funny with it. And when he was talking about Punk, he was like, "Oh, he touched 4 corners." Oh, it's brilliant. He tells us he's got his first Hollywood movie coming out. A far cry, I think, from when he was running with 3-man band and he got sacked off. Drew then says he's disappointed in Wade Barrett, though, for stepping in his way when he was about to end Punk. Drew then approaches Barrett, saying if he does it again, he'll be angry and he'll do something about it. Barrett stands up from behind the commentator's desk, but as things are about to get tasty, we hear Adam Pearce, who's heading out from the back, saying, "That's enough. Have you lost the plot? It's not about CM Pink anymore. No, that's not a typo. That's what Pearce called Punk. Pink. You want to fight with your friends? Drew, please enter the ring. I have some news." Pearce has spoken to Punk, and Punk isn't done with Drew. I didn't think this feud would be over, to be honest with you. Well, I'm glad it's not. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. Drew doesn't believe that Punk's okay. Pearce then says it'll end at Bad Blood. Drew McIntyre against CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell. And this, for me, is one to look forward to.
100%, yes. Backstage, we see Karrion Kross buttering up The Miz. I mean, surely he's not trying to recruit him.
He's getting desperate.
He is.
Nothing against you, Miz, but... After the break, we have Rey Mysterio against Finn Balor, with Judgment Day and the LWO banned from ringside, which begs the question, who's coming out to interrupt the match? The match already underway with Balor on top when we return from the break, but a crossbody springboard by the luchador on a 619 to Balor's chest turns things around for Mysterio. Rey sets Balor up for a more traditional 619 but gets caught as he's about to make contact. Balor then gets Mysterio in a half Boston Crab between the ropes and using them as well to good effect. The ref starts to count as use of the ropes is illegal, but Balor doesn't break the hold. The ref's count reaches 5 and he calls for the bell and the match is ended via DQ to Balor. Balor finally releases the hold, injuring Rey in the process. A drop kick on Mysterio though drives him into the ring post, and then another one onto the outside of the ring does for Mysterio as Balor leaves the arena to a chorus of boos.
Backstage with Jackie Redmond and Ilja Dragunov. Dragunov says he's got unfinished business with Braun when Braun appears. We have no unfinished business because I already beat you. But if you want, you can win tonight and I can beat you again, Breaker tells Dragunov. Jey Uso then passes by, looks at Braun and heads to the ring.
Final match of the night, the Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders fatal 4-way match between Jey Uso, Pete Dunne, Ilja Dragunov and Braun Strowman. But just before the match, we hear from the Judgment Day, who say they hope the locker room are watching tonight, as that was a message. Now, how many more people are going to run, rule and own Monday Night Raw?
Back to the ring and Braun follows Dunne to the outside, but ends up being dived upon by Jey. Dunne gets back in the ring, dumping Jey back out the ring, who'd only just got back in, but not before Jey had kicked Dragunov out. Braun, now back in the game, then dumps Dunne out the ring onto Jey and Dragunov. Back from the break and the 3 smaller men are ganging up on Strowman, with Jey then dodging Braun charging at him, in turn sending Strowman crashing to the outside. Jey and Dunne then go at it until we're back outside the ring where Jey, Ilja and Dunne team up and push Strowman into the ring steps. Dunne then smashes Jey into the ring post and throws Dragunov back into the ring, covering him for a 2. Dragunov then gets the upper hand over Dunne, launching himself from the top rope, only to be met by a super kick from Jey and covered, again only for a 2. Jey and Dragunov then slap it out, Dragunov getting a Constantine special off and covering Jey for a 2. Back comes Dunne, but before he has chance to jump from the top rope, he gets pushed off by Strowman, who then enters the ring and manhandles Jey and Ilja. The 2 smaller men roll out the ring to escape the onslaught. Braun sees this and signals for the Strowman Express. They all end up taking a ride. Strowman then clears the announcer's table but gets blindsided by a flying Bronson Reed.
How did you get blindsided by a man that big?
Who ends up putting Strowman through the commentator's table. Back in the ring we have Jey and Dragunov once again, and once again they go at it. Only this time Jey gets the upper hand. hitting Dragunov with a spear. As Jay looks over the downed Russian, Dunne re-enters the ring, tossing Jay out and covering Dragunov for a 2. Dunne lays into Dragunov, trying to soften him up a little more, but allows Dragunov to hit him with a release powerbomb, followed up by the H-bomb. Dragunov goes for the cover, but Jay breaks it up on 2 with a low super kick. Jay then Uso splashes Dunne and covers him for the win. As Jay celebrates, Braun Breaker enters the ring, with Raw going off air as the two men were about to come together.
All in all, not a bad Raw. I think the women's tag was poor.
Yeah.
Sorry, girls. It just... Drew is amazing. Absolutely
Always good,
love
yeah.
how he's absolutely brilliant. I'm glad Jay won.
Oh, so glad Jay won.
But
yeah.
he ain't beating Braun. There's no point in giving him the title and then
I'd like him too, but...
Yeah, I prefer Jay.
Maybe that's another discussion.
But Braun's, yeah, that's for another day. And Judgment Day, love what they're doing.
Always
I'm glad they haven't gone off the rails since
Yeah.
the Terror Twins have gone, because it could have all gone to pot. They could have
easily,
disbanded Judgment Day, but they've come together,
yeah,
stronger
they'll
than
stay
ever.
together.
Love it. Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you on Saturday for our take on SmackDown.